In a world where the podcast multiverse is a concept about which we know frighteningly little, two dudes must become something greater than themselves, something elemental, something terrifying, a podcast. With great podcasting, there must also be great responsibility. To show the multiverse that it's full of people ready to believe in good. The multiverse will hunt us. They will send the dogs on us, because that's what needs to happen. But it won't be ready to hear from us. Not us, united. Well, welcome everybody. We've got a pretty special episode and a pretty special guest this week.
Yeah, you do.
Let's go. Before I introduce you, let's get the intro out of the way.
Yes,
Make
professional.
Sure we dot all of our T's and cross all of our I's.
We are a ship with full steam power.
That's right.
And we just want to flex those muscles right now.
Yeah.
And show that we are a professional podcast.
Yeah. So that
As
we
you
can
should.
then just sink the ship.
Yeah.
In 5 minutes.
Immediately.
Yep. All right. So welcome everyone.
Yes.
To Not Us United. I'm Nick.
I'm Michael. That's me.
Hey, yeah, you are Michael. Good job.
Thanks. Figured that part out.
And we are a weekly podcast powerhouse. That's crucial. You guys need to know that. Weekly podcast powerhouse that exists to see people interact with and see cinema a little differently. We find the good, the bad, and the wild in all that we do, and we are glad that you chose to listen to us, Not Us United.
That's right.
How do you feel about my energy there?
I thought it was really good. I was like a nice, a soft leaf just fluttering to the ground, you know? Does that make sense? I don't know why I said that.
It didn't, but it also did. You know what I mean?
It was just like you were flexible, you were majestic, and you were, in a sense, inevitable, part of nature.
I love it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Anyways,
Okay,
hi
now-
Olivia, how you doing?
I don't know after that intro, so doing well. Glad to be here, participating.
We're glad to have you.
We are. Give us a little bit about Olivia. Give us what we want to know. You're on here. We're going to talk about some Marvel, some movies. We want a little bit of your history of what you love about movies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what you love about Not Us United, if you want to share that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll
great.
just start with Not Us United.
Yes.
Perfect.
What's not to like?
That's right.
How unique, how fun.
We'll pay you later.
They
after all
are.
this.
They are the kings of tangents.
Wow.
Wait, the Tangent Kings. I
The
love it.
tangent kings.
Tangerine Kings.
The Tangent Kings.
Just two awesome men talking about movies. I feel like it's awesome because I'm a very busy person, so it gives you the opportunity to listen in on newer movies, older movies, listen to draft picks. That's very unique, I think.
We have a draft fan. I love it.
It adds a new spin on movie podcasts. So
Wow. This is the most praise I think I've
Spotify,
ever gotten.
Spotify is
I'm
lucky.
maybe going to cry instead of Michael this time. Holy cow.
Yeah.
How do we even...
Wow, thank you for that high praise, Olivia.
Yeah.
I think
As you should.
I also give you our highest praise of being our almost number one fan, because you technically have gotten merch before we have gotten merch.
That
for
is
this
true.
podcast.
That's true.
That is true. Olivia did create our first prototype of shirt.
Yeah.
So we have an official Not Us United
Shirt.
That exists.
Yeah.
I believe in the vision.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
That's good. This is great. It's all the synergy.
When it happened, I was like, oh no, now we have to. This can't be the only one that exists. But this is
It's special.
Yeah,
It's
this
a
is
prototype.
1.0. This is the
Yeah.
original Not Us United shirt.
That's
with
right.
the logo and everything.
Yeah.
It was very well
She
done.
killed it.
Yeah.
Well done.
Killed it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
But great. We heard obviously the most important thing about what you care about Not Us United. But tell us a little bit about your history
movie.
with movies.
Yeah. I never. Okay, this sounds really weird, but I hate watching a show twice.
Got it.
I'm like a one and done person
Okay.
in a way, unless I really love the movie. But the reason is because when I watch a movie, I sit there and analyze it to a T.
I see.
And if I leave feeling a certain way, I don't want to rewatch it and feel differently, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
like,
is there
it's like a core
movie-
memory thing. It's like that was imprinted and like, wow, that was good, and I don't want to ruin that feeling.
Interesting. Is there a movie you think you have revisited before, or do you think like I've seen every movie only once?
I've seen every movie only once except for like Disney movies.
Interesting.
I'll
yeah.
rewatch
Okay,
those.
Sure.
Because it's like my childhood.
Yeah.
Like
now you
back
can have
when,
an adult reaction
yeah,
to whatever.
and then I want to have like an adult reaction, and I can
Got
see all the innuendos and like everything. It's
Yeah.
like
Oh,
so weird.
Yeah.
Like it's
Disney
weird.
yeah, it is. It's like,
They're sneaky. Those
Yes,
producers.
they
yeah, it's
are.
like that was for the parents.
Yeah.
And hopefully the kids don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know why. That's just always been my thing. I
Interesting.
won't rewatch a show, nothing. I just like love the feeling how I felt when it
Something
ended,
new.
and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. I like that.
Yeah, that is pretty cool actually.
Is
do you,
it?
Do you ever feel like though that you might have like, so for me, a multiple watch sometimes allows me to like pick up on more details. But do you feel like because you know you're only gonna watch it once, that allows you just to be analytical the whole time?
Yeah, I
Oh,
feel like
dude,
I'm
that's
just so
insane.
much more intentional when I like watch something, because I'm like, I want to fully capture how it feels like to watch a show and enjoy it, and like then I'm done.
Wow.
I feel extremely convicted as a movie watcher.
I know. I'm like, man, it takes me like 3 times to even like, oh, that was the theme of the movie. Oh, got it.
Wow, I
Yeah.
feel like that was the most polite way to tell me to get good. That's how I feel.
Not the intent.
I love it.
But
To each their own. To each their own.
hey, like piggybacking off of that, I feel like that's why I love Marvel though, because every time I finish,
Transitioning. Well,
every time
get on
I
the
finish,
podcast.
every time I finish a Marvel movie, I feel very empowered. There's always a lesson, I think. But
Yeah, that's good.
and you know, I have some critiques about Doctor Strange, but
Sure.
yeah, that's one thing that I think what makes Marvel so great and why it's captured a huge audience is because you leave feeling empowered and like you learn something about yourself. Like it's illuminating a part about you. And I think
Yeah.
that's sick.
Yeah, and how they can make characters that are so unrelatable
Yeah.
still relatable.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
For
good. Yeah.
What was your first like exposure to Marvel then? Like, are you a comic book reader? Are you just an MCU person? Are you
Yeah.
all the way
bit of
back
both.
to some random movie that you saw way back
Yeah,
in the day? or what?
it was like, not to be that person, but it was like a bonding activity with my dad.
Nice.
Like I just
well,
my
we can
dad-
all relate to
Every
that.
movie.
I feel like everyone has that, like,
Yeah.
well, me and my dad did it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it seriously was. Like, my dad loved Lord of the Rings. He loves the sci-fi. He loves, like, all of those things. So, like, I grew up watching those things with him because he really loved it. And so
Nice.
I really loved it.
That's awesome.
But yeah.
But then it did become something that you organically also ended
yeah,
up
so then
loving.
I just started, like, anytime there was a new Marvel movie, I'm like, I have to go watch it. Like,
Nice.
it just
Were you like a
felt-
midnight premiere person too?
I don't know if I was a midnight
Okay,
premiere
yeah.
person,
Hey.
but I knew that I had to watch it because of, like,
Yeah.
it felt familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's insane. And
Yeah.
I feel so unprepared now. No, just,
This
Oh
is
my
getting deeper than I thought.
it's like, wow.
Sorry,
Excellent
I'm a
answers.
deep person,
Excellent
so.
answers. Well, I guess we've done some Marvel movies on the podcast, but
Yeah.
this could be a fun opportunity just to be like, what was your exposure to,
Oh, sure.
like, Marvel stuff? Because for me, I would piggyback off of what Olivia said. It was definitely like a dad and me thing that he had the comics. He's like, hey, you got to check this out. He was never the guy that habitually bought every issue of every character that he liked, but he always seemed to know, like, hey, that's the really good Spider-Man one that you need to read. Hey, that's the really good Batman one that you need to read. And all these, like, he didn't care which one. He obviously preferred Marvel, comic-wise, but he would always be like, hey, this is the one you need to keep your eye out for.
Nice. Yeah.
And
That's
so
really
when
cool.
the movies came out, there was just a very tangible way to be like, hey, now we've got something we can talk about for the
Yeah.
next, like, 2 hours. Because
Nice.
we got to do it. So every time a movie comes out, he's always calling me within a week. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
And it kills me because he, like, has to talk to me about it still to this day. But sometimes he'll just be like, what'd you think? I was like, I thought it was really good. And he goes, me too. Anyway, have a good day, son. But we have to at least talk about it, you know?
Oh, the
So sometimes it is, like, lengthy and be like, man, I really love this because this podcast has definitely made me more analytical too, and like needing to not that I like should just come up with content, but like it makes me want to think like what needs to be said about this movie.
And what made you enjoy the movie or whatever.
Yeah, the ultimate goal of any of these films is to get us to talk about it, I think, to some degree.
Yeah.
What is the story? What is the lesson? And what do you want to do about that? So, anyway.
Yeah, that's a great point. And then ultimately piggyback of fans of the 2019 movie draft or something like that, where we talked about Avengers Endgame. I think your story with your dad, you went to the premiere with him, right?
I went to the premiere with Kate, but then I went and saw it like a weekend later with him as well. Just because it was like, hey, this one's too good. We both saw it separately, but we definitely had to rewatch it together.
So I feel like almost like an arc of like, hey, you brought me to this.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
The culmination of it, I mean, yeah, it was spiritual. It was insane, dude. I mean, Avengers, because I posted on Facebook when I saw it, but I was like, Avengers is what brought me and my wife together. Like, Kate and I met because I was wearing an Avengers t-shirt and she teed up a conversation, or she wore an Avengers t-shirt, sorry, and teed up a conversation. And then that led to a house party where we all saw Avengers when it came out on DVD. And then my little brother and sister had all loved it through me. And so they went to the movie with me as well. And then my dad. So it was like generational. It's like this guy led me to it. This led me to my like literal life partner. And then it spread to the rest of my family. And so I got to see it with all of them. And so on top of all of that, then it's Avengers Endgame. So like Avengers Endgame's enough. But then when you're
all
like,
this added,
you're feeling it, it's like Kate and I met at the Avengers premiere.
Yeah.
And now we're at Avengers Endgame premiere, and it's just like, it's insane.
That's insane.
That's cool.
Then the next step will be taking Darcy to Avengers 4 and then be like, oh, it's over. We did it. Or whatever. I don't know. So anyway.
Wow. So to follow that up.
Yeah, please follow. Yep.
I have a very, not as anywhere to any of that, like emotional connection with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. My dad introduced me to Star Wars and sci-fi and all of that. And my introduction to Marvel was I went to a sleepover and we watched Incredible Hulk that night. And I'm like, this is dope.
What a film, dude.
And then I just kept watching. And so, I don't know. I guess I don't have like a tangible, like, this is what brought me to Marvel. It's just like, it definitely is like a cultural, like, oh, we all like watch a Marvel movie. Yeah. It's fun, exciting. I do love it. I do like it. And yeah, I think I've grew up watching and reading comics, and I'm definitely more of a DC person, and like I've like dove into Batman and stuff more, and Marvel has always just been like, it's just more popular, so I'm like, okay, I guess this is fun to like get into, and like I don't know a lot about this, but it's I know basically the movies and maybe a few TV shows, but everything they make is just really good, and so I've just been a fan mainly from the MCU.
Nice.
And wanting to, just keep watching them. It's just like you said, like all you said of like, it's just all icing on the cake now. Like this should be impossible. Everything that they're doing should be impossible.
Yeah, like I hope it does go down. Like it gets cemented that like, regardless of the future of the MCU, which I do want to talk about after we do the review and all this of Doctor Strange, but from here on out, I think people need to understand that this will have to come to an end. It probably won't be satisfying, and it's probably going to like eventually be bad. But look at what we got. Yeah, like up until Endgame, it's kind of like unparalleled.
You did it,
and so I don't want anyone to like taint what happens after, because it's like no, like they stuck the landing. That's all we asked for. Now everything's just just desserts. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, like it can suck. It doesn't matter. Like And anyone who wants to argue with me, totally fine. I just don't know what more we can ask for. No. Like I truly believe they did everything faithfully. Now we can just kind of be like, all right, now we'll just keep showing up until we don't want to anymore. Like I just don't think they can recreate it, but who knows? Maybe they will. Like there's still been amazing films that have been released after. Yeah, they've been
still chugging along, and with TV shows and Disney Plus is like, what? Who knows what they're gonna do?
Who knows? Exactly.
But yeah. Just that's my relationship. Just a fan.
So see, you're with good company, Olivia.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad.
You're with Not Us United.
Yes. Yeah. You're with us, not us United. Okay, well then, yeah, let's go ahead and dive into it. We decided that this was the perfect time to jump into Doctor Strange because the sequel's coming out soon.
Yeah.
It is going to be madness.
Yeah.
It's literally in the title.
Multiverse of Madness, man.
And so we thought it'd be a good chance to revisit the MCU. This would be a good entry point just to re-enter and be like, well, what's up with this guy?
Yeah.
What do we need to know about him? And use it as kind of a catch-up episode so that when Multiverse of Madness happens, we're catching as much as we can.
Yeah.
Because, Olivia, you're clearly going to catch everything. You've shown us that you're
my
tried
God.
and true. You're
Wait,
like,
so
"I got
is this
everything."
the second time you've seen Doctor Strange,
No,
or
it
did
was-
you not rewatch it?
I think that I've watched it when I was like during that time. I just don't remember it. So
Okay.
I rewatched it last night.
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
So you broke your
so-
rule, but it's because you also forgot.
yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
so it's
because I
fine.
forgot
It's fine,
it.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It's
like-
totally kosher. We still satisfied the
Still respect.
which
the
is
original
like
rule.
something I was gonna ask on the podcast to be like, because I watched Doctor Strange 2's trailer
Mhm.
and I was like a little confused. So
Mm.
like I'm kind of happy you guys are doing a
Oh, for sure.
recap.
Great.
To
Yeah.
be honest.
Let's
Sounds
do
good.
it.
Yeah, I think let's dive into OG Doctor Strange,
Mm-hmm.
critique it, rate it,
Sure.
all that jazz, and then afterwards, I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts because I think stuff's going to happen
Yeah.
May 6th or whatever this movie comes
Yeah.
out, and something's going to change.
Yes.
If it doesn't, I feel like they titled it wrong
Yes.
because you can't title something The Multiverse of Madness and not
Do
completely screw up the
Yeah.
MCU at this
Yeah.
point. So,
Yeah. Something.
we'll see what-
something. There has to be some kind of ramifications from this movie.
correct.
I've also heard through research,
Ooh.
maybe
Research.
maybe Reddit,
Oh,
that basically Doctor Strange is like going to be the new like Iron Man, like fill those type
Makes
of
sense.
shoes.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
So
I think with the passing of Chadwick Boseman, it kind of makes sense that Doctor Strange would probably be the only other character. I think Black Panther
Yeah.
could have filled that role.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
I
was
think
the plan.
They kind of
yeah.
teed him
Yeah.
up to be like, because the whole time you're kind of like, we didn't really get enough Black Panther. Like, we got a great
Yeah.
movie, but now what? And I think they
yeah.
were going to explore that further. I'm curious to see what they do with the sequel, but like, I thought it was going to be kind of him, Doctor Strange, and maybe like the new Captain America.
Yeah.
But now with Black Panther, I'm curious to see what they do. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Doctor Strange might have bigger shoes to fill now.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
shall see.
Yeah, we shall see. Well, then let's dive into our non-spoiler review of Doctor Strange, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Rachel McAdams, who I forgot was even in the MCU.
That is
Chiwetel
correct.
Ejiofor.
Oh yes,
His
Yep.
buddy
Mordo.
Mordo. Totally forgot he was in this.
Yes, he is.
Cause yeah, that's like one of the things like revisiting this movie. I'm like, oh hey, I forgot about a bunch of characters. Because there's so much else going on. There's like Thanos. There's like, here's another movie you got to focus on.
That's
Here's
correct,
like,
yeah.
here's like, oh, Thor's doing stuff. Here's Captain Marvel.
They still
Here's
have to set
Spider-Man.
up,
It's like,
plant some seeds.
yeah. So like, yeah, I don't know. I my experience with Doctor Strange, my initial viewing of the movie, I enjoyed it, but didn't love it, and a lot of people seemed to love it, and so I felt like I was being negative about it. So what was your guys' first kind of viewing of Doctor Strange?
Yeah. I mean, I think that I feel similar to you in that, like, I liked it, but I don't think I loved it just because I feel like I'm someone that really cares about how the writers, like, build up the character so that I feel emotional attachment to them.
Sure.
And so I didn't think that they did the best job, but, like, it was close. So that's...
So do you think like you didn't feel a draw to like Benedict Cumberbatch or to
Yeah, I felt like the villain wasn't as villainy as I wanted him to be.
not a good
Like
villain.
Amen. Yep.
Yeah, like I thought, like I wanted to feel more of an emotional connection to him. I wanted to like see that love story. Like I just felt like it was like kind of thrown together. Like I don't know, like
Yeah.
things like that.
I think this movie suffers a little bit from we had a really good plot idea,
Yes.
but we forgot that there has to be 30 minutes of setup to get
Yes.
him to be Doctor Strange, and that's not enough for you to go from a doctor to Sorcerer Supreme,
Yeah.
probably.
Yes.
So it kind of suffers in that regard
Yes.
for like on-ramping a little too quickly.
Yeah, I agree.
But with that said, I think like the cast is correct. Like
Yes.
I think he is Doctor Strange. I think
I
he
agree.
does a good job. But again, there does feel like there are some extra pieces in this movie, like your Mordos and Christine Palmer or whatever. Like they had to add them in there, but sometimes when you just have extra pieces, the movie suffers because you realize that those pieces didn't end up doing too much in the movie. And so Mordo's clearly a setup character. Like without spoiling anything, like he's just gonna be in the next one. That's kind of his purpose.
Yeah.
Wong gets like the most like tee up for like this guy's cool.
He's in a bunch of different
and now
other
Wong,
Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like super popular.
And so like
now.
it's almost like in retrospect they knew what they were doing with the characters,
Mm-hmm.
but during this, I still don't think you're automatically forgiven for. You can't just sometimes throw in. Like, unless they're all a team, like a Guardians of the Galaxy, you can't just be like, here's 6 characters.
Yeah.
Isn't this awesome?
Yeah.
Like,
you know what I mean?
to me, that's just like a little bit of lazy writing. Like, I think that like people like the Marvel series because they're different. They're reinventing the way that we view superhero movies. So then don't do something that's overplayed. Like the guy with the God complex who like needs to find himself, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like let's go back to the roots a little more and see more. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I agree. I think definitely when I was like first time seeing this movie in the rut of, okay, here's another Marvel origin story. This is just Tony Stark, but he's a doctor. And I'm like, dude, like let's go on. I think where the strength of this movie lies is that it is pretty unique for a Marvel movie.
Correct.
The visuals are very cool.
Yes.
The magic aspect is very cool. Like that is very, very strong in this movie, and I think that carries the movie. But the rest of it, I think, is pretty weak. To where like I wouldn't say it's like a great Marvel movie. I think it's a solid entry and expands the universe.
Yeah.
But I'm not like, oh man, you gotta see Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I agree.
And this is coming off the tails of like what Civil War was right before this.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Which is like one of my favorite Marvel movies.
Yeah, Civil War's pretty insane. Yeah, and again, like, it's always going to have negative points when you focus on one character, because typically, like, it's an origin or something, and then when they eventually meet new friends, then it's an Avengers 2.0 movie, you know, or whatever. Like, Civil War is, like, a perfect example.
Yeah.
It's like, Captain America's dope, but so is having all of the Avengers in your movie. You know? And then you get Doctor Strange, and it's all new and stuff, so you sometimes get, like, whiplash a little bit, and you can't appreciate, like, a more scaled back thing, but at the same time, this isn't scaled back at all. I mean, the type of threat he's dealing with is like world-ending type things, and so it is kind of like they have to rush you into it. And so I think where this movie really could have probably gained some good graces would be maybe don't have the full-on villain reveal at the end. I won't spoil it. We'll talk about it in spoilers, but just have kind of his disciples be the main villain and have it tee up for there's this looming threat that could be another big thing in your sequel.
That's
And
good.
then that frees up so much more time to be like, let's explore this. Like, how did you go from being cocky to not cocky in like 45 minutes? But you're also still cocky. Like, you know, like he's still kind of suffering because he can't have that much character development. He can't go from like, and now I'm completely humble. But the one thing that was believable was that he could get that good at being that quickly because of literally how desperate he was. Like, if you think about how like educated this dude is, and so but I will say, like, he does get like really good really fast.
Yeah, I think that's more a spoiler thing that I have gripes with, but
we can get that. That's fine.
Oh dang, I had something. You were saying something about I think the villain's weak. I think Marvel has a history of that, of like just not having great villains. I mean, you got your Loki, and then Thanos was in the shadows, and then he became a great villain after this.
Yeah, I thought he was a good villain.
Right.
Sometimes it's hard. They struggle with wanting you to have so much fun watching their film that they forget that they also have to have a serious villain.
Yeah.
Sometimes the comedy is almost what makes the villain not that serious, and then it struggles. And this one's not like incredibly funny, but when you're dealing, it's just hard sometimes to really delicately do the balance of, hey, like, it's funny, I'm learning how to be a wizard. Also, there's a thing that's going to consume all of the world. Like, you know, just like, it's like, that's a, you have to really thread that needle, you know?
Yeah.
And good on them for trying, you know. And like you said, visuals, you're not going to not enjoy this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like at a minimum, if you're eating popcorn and just watching this, you're like, dude, whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to take acid, and I feel like I did acid.
Yeah.
Like, nice.
Yeah.
And I feel like they really stayed true to, like, Doctor Strange comic-y in that regard.
Sure.
Like, they went full-blown psychedelic in areas
Yeah.
of this film, and I feel like
yeah.
that was good. They
100%.
did the strange and strange. Like,
Yes.
that was
Yeah.
the good.
Yes.
That was good.
While I was watching the movie, they had like little trivia at like the side of it, and it said something about how like Stan Lee, like in the middle of them fighting or whatever, was reading a book that was like a psychedelic book, and that was
cool.
supposed
Nice
to be
little
like a
touch.
little
Nice.
pointer or whatever. But yeah,
Stanley.
That's cool.
yeah.
Rest in peace, my
I know.
boy.
I saw him in there. I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
that's sad now.
What was his last one? Far From Home?
Yes.
Endgame? Something?
No. Wait. It was Far From Home?
He's in Far From Home, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember. He's definitely an Endgame. He's the guy like Make Love Not War.
Yeah.
Whatever guy.
I think it was Far From Home.
Anyway.
I think what I found with my interest in Doctor Strange is I love Doctor Strange, but not in his movie. I love him in Endgame,
Sure.
and I love him
Same.
or in Infinity War, where he becomes the Sorcerer Supreme. Him getting to that point, I didn't find extremely interesting. But when he does all of his magic, and when he knows what he's doing, and when he's like a side character, I like him a lot. But when he's the main character, I don't know if I love him
Yeah.
extremely a lot.
But again, I think it comes back to they did not lay good foundation for us to like really love him as a main character.
Yeah.
Like I think they set up other people really well, like Tony Stark. Yeah, like that was set
True.
up well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that's the one trouble of like, what's next beyond the Avengers? And they're like, well, we need a new roster, but we also need to give them some care. But it's really just an on-ramp to be like, we just need new toys in the toy chest.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think Doctor Strange is a good example. I think Captain Marvel's a great example of this, where it's just like, you are literally a plot device for our next big movie.
Right.
And we just need you to be in it, so here's a movie. And
Right.
so it's a case of, it was a necessity to make this movie, but we weren't necessarily prepared to do it well.
Yeah.
Like, and so I almost feel like these both, I think Doctor Strange lands at sixth landing better than Captain Marvel does.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's somewhat believable that like he is kind of to the level that he's supposed to be by Infinity War-ish. But again, his first movie is Doctor Strange, his second movie is Infinity War. That's insane.
That is no. He did Thor Ragnarok technically, but
Okay. But yes,
yes.
it was more just this happens in Infinity War.
Yeah.
Or whatever, like right after. I mean, like, it's kind of just a quick
He's
tease
hardly
of,
there, yeah.
He has new gloves.
Yeah.
or whatever. Like,
Right.
that's it. Yeah.
I think let's give a score. We usually do a score out of 10,
Okay.
as you know.
Yes.
And then we can move into some more spoiler things because I think I mean, who hasn't like probably seen or spoiled this movie? But
Yeah.
just to be fair, I'm gonna give it a solid just 7 out of 10. I think it's pretty middle of the pack.
Yep.
I think I enjoy it. I wouldn't say again it's not my favorite,
Yep.
but it is good. And I think revisiting it, I think there is a little bit more heart in there that I didn't see, and I enjoyed it, but I don't love it.
Yes. So that's a good call.
Olivia, what do you say?
Yeah, I was actually gonna say 7 out of 10.
Let's go.
Same, like I'll just
Sorry.
echo what you said. I think that like if they allowed me to feel more emotional attachment to it, just that's just a personal preference though, I think. But if they laid the foundation a little bit better, I think that I would have given it a higher score.
Nice. I guess I'm going to be the bad guy this time around. I'm going to give this like a 6 out of 10.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought you would be higher.
But I will say that it is an incredibly enjoyable 6 out of 10. Like I think it is like a top tier. Like I would still recommend people watch it 6 out of 10.
This is actually kind of shocking to me.
Yeah.
6 out of 10 is lower than I thought you would give.
Oh no.
I'm not like
Put me on trial. Let's do this.
I'm just saying like I thought I was hard on this movie. And I would give it a 7. Maybe 6.5 if I'm stretching.
Sure.
But 6 interesting.
Yeah,
I'm just
think
intrigued.
I think there's enough missed opportunity that justifies that, but I think what is so strong in this movie is incredibly strong. And so that's why I think it's still like one that I would still go like, hey, this could totally be somebody's
thing.
movie.
This is it. Yeah.
Like they love this stuff.
Well, I mean,
literally,
your wife.
it's literally my wife's like top 5 Marvel movie of all time. Like she loves this movie, and it is comfort food. Like I'll throw it on, and it's like, this is dope. I'm not gonna not enjoy myself.
Yeah.
But I think that there are things that are done in this film where I'm just like, this suffers from you just needed to really get him in the MCU.
Yeah.
Whatever syndrome you want to call that. But like that's the MCU's like that's its weakest point is when they rush to get a character in to sometimes be a plot device later on. Like Iron Man was never a plot device. Iron Man was literally the foundation to just let's just make something good so that people come and watch these things.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange is you're the time stone, bro, so let's go. Like and that's what it is. So 6 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
But I tell you what, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness
Looks
2
good, yeah.
trailer 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it looks sick. It looks sick.
I have no idea what's going to happen in that movie. And we'll get into that. But anyway, so I'm excited for Doctor Strange's future. So even though it's a 6 out of 10,
I think the potential of Doctor Strange is very high.
Benadryl Cucumber Man has my vote.
Get out of here, dude. All right, well, let's move into spoilers. I rewatching this movie, I think I enjoyed it more than I initially did. I liked. I think my major qualm with the movie is the character of Benedict Strange Man. Not my favorite. I also don't agree with you, Nick, in that he trains for 3 months and then he can beat this other guy. I know that's a big superhero thing. It's like, oh yeah, you trained for Sova and you got the heart and you beat the guy that's been training for like 20 years. I don't think he could win.
Okay.
But I guess, now to counter my own point, I guess he doesn't technically fight him. He fights Dormammu. I don't know. I just don't think he's like, oh, he's the best yet.
Sure.
I think it's too quick.
Yeah, no, I don't think he should have taken Dormammu on in this movie. And that's why they had to handle it the way that they handled it. You can't go up against a god and be like, hey, I've been training for 90 days. I'm ready.
But I think that what they did was at least unique.
Oh,
in
for
that
sure.
It wasn't like, I'm going to punch you so hard that I beat
unique.
you.
Yeah, but I just think, did that have to happen? Or was that just showing like, hey, the time stone's dope?
It might have just been the time stone, yeah. But you still have the time stone.
If you erase that part and you just have him fight Caecilius or whatever the guy's name is.
No, you got it, yeah.
Hey, did it? All right,
Nice.
cool. Because no one else remembers his name. Like, I guarantee no one else knows it.
I only remember that because I saw it 2 days ago.
Oh, got it. Okay. So I think, like, just have that go through and then dig a little deeper into why did you go from being, like, a sorcerer to a disciple?
Sure.
Because we don't get to spend any time with Dormammu except for I'm just a hungry face in the sky.
Num, num, num,
Num, num, num. Yeah. So anyway, that's where I think that's just so weak that third act should have just been changed to still fighting the disciples. What were the disciples of? Oh, Dormammu, end credit scene. Boom.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
So, but yes, I agree. He does get good pretty fast. I just think his absolute desperation was at least portrayed well enough that the dude's basically like homeless begging for scraps when he finally becomes a sorcerer.
Yeah.
And then the Ancient One's like, you just need to surrender. And then he does. And then he literally just gives his entire life to doing this and basically does it. But I agree. People are spending years and years to learn how to be magic. And he's like, all he needs like 2 months and a couple books. Yeah, I get it, what you're saying. Anyway.
Yeah, do you guys remember, like, what's that guy's name again? Was it Mordo?
Mordo. Yeah.
While he's, like, studying, he says, like, you seem like someone who was born for the mystic arts. And he's like, no, I just have photographic memory.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was, like, interesting because something that I noted was when he first goes to the Himalayan land or whatever, Mordo's, like, watching him, and it's, like, why him specifically, you know? And, like, I guess we kind of understand it's, like, that's the same doctor who said no to, like, healing that one guy and whatever, but, like, why is that core memory in your brain, and like why are you remember, like I don't know, it felt like a setup. And I think that like another thing that maybe I should rewatch movies, because I think I did miss something, is the fact that like from the beginning, like the watch has always been very integral to the movie. Like while he's in the surgery room, he's like, can you stop your watch, it's like annoying, like I can hear it.
That connection I didn't. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and like him just always taking off this watch and having it by his side, and like he ends up being the person with the time stone, which I thought, so that's like what gave the 7
Olivia.
out of 10.
Oh, you're popping off.
well that's why I give it a 7 out of 10, because I feel like the story is in all these like little things
really cool.
that like you wouldn't really realize they're like set, like they're planting seeds. Like even in the camera movement, you can see like how he's like reacting to things and it like shakes, or just like the colors and like things like that. Like that's the story, and I feel like that's what makes it so cool.
Yeah,
honestly,
this is great.
Why are you laughing?
No, because this is like
Michael's mind is literally being blown in front of me.
This is like talking to like me, because you're like, yeah, like time, and like the watch represents time, and then he's got the time stone. Like, whoa, that made a connection for me. That was good.
No, seriously.
I would just like to say, before I address all of that, when he says he does an MD PhD because he has a photographic memory, that is not true. People do an MD PhD and they don't have photographic memory. So
okay,
why don't you sit down, Dr. Strange?
We have a STEM person on the podcast.
Real quick, Dr.
anyone
Strange,
needed to know.
You're not cool, all right? People get MD PhDs all the time, all right?
All right.
Why don't you sit
but
down?
do you have 100 Rolexes getting twisted in your closet?
That was pretty dope.
That was pretty cool.
Wow, yeah, the concept of time, like with the watch, I think so. Like the watch that he wears, was that a gift from Christine?
One of them was.
Okay.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
one that's broken,
And
though,
he
that's
really
cracked at
values
the end.
them.
Is
Yeah.
that the one that's the one
Yeah.
that he keeps? Is that the one from Christine?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so yeah, so he has
And
this one possession that he
and then
cares
he
about,
breaks time.
and then he breaks time, and the watch is cracked. Oh, we're going off. Yeah.
Yes, they definitely make this apparent that time is huge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's a huge theme of this movie, but definitely not. I did not like consider all of the details when thinking about that. That's insane.
That's really great.
That's good.
I love that.
And this is a person who's seen it less times than I have.
See, this way, yeah, we're not very analytical. We're just like, yeah, I mean, like the building twisted around. That was pretty dope, wasn't it?
Whoa, the mirror dimension's like full of mirrors. Nice.
How many mirrors are in the mirror dimension? At least 3.
At least all of them.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool. I think that almost boosts my appreciation. Like, I love when movies are like, there's something more to it than you'd even see.
Yeah.
And so, like, the whole, like, time concept is, like, something I didn't even notice. And that's really cool. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing we have to consider, too, that goes towards the him being good, is that we've now been filled in with more information later on, but, like, the Ancient One always knew that Doctor Strange was going to be the Sorcerer Supreme.
yeah, but, like, that brings in, like, the whole, like, oh, chosen one.
Sure.
And I'm like, I'm almost kind of sick of that motif, where it's like, he was chosen because he's the best of us, and he's going to do it because he has to do it, because somebody has to do it. And I'm like, no.
Well, but the thing I will say is that the whole movie, he literally loses the one thing that makes him successful.
Right.
And so sometimes when you lose the thing that makes you, your identity has to go somewhere else, or it has to be found in the thing that you don't have anymore. And so when his identity now becomes magic, imagine what that would do to somebody who's hyper obsessive about being successful at the one thing that you do. He's a different breed than guy who just wanted to fix his spine and so he could play basketball with the boys.
Ball.
You know what I mean? Like
That's
that guy
every
just,
Thursday night.
that guy's like, teach me the spell that makes my spine go
Yeah.
like get fine.
And I
then
think one
that's
of
it.
the points that I did enjoy a lot was his conversation with the Ancient One when she's passing away, and he's like, he now knows that he can just fix his hands, and he knows that like he can have his life again, but he chooses not to, and that does bring some character development. I think it is minor. I mean, like, obviously if you're a hero, you're gonna sacrifice something.
Yeah.
But I think that conversation with the slowed down time, the lightning and the snow, and like I think that is an emotional heart of the movie. But I don't think that comes around quite enough for me to be like, man, I love Doctor Strange. It's just like I think there is enough sacrifice. I don't think it's great enough to be like he's a hero, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying.
Wait, I don't know. I just like realized this, but like I don't know if this is actually like real.
Go
but
for it.
In terms of like character development and things like that, like did you guys notice that like when he was shaving and stuff, like he looked like way younger and stuff, and then as he was developing he looked older and he had that like silver like thing. Like do you think that that's like a sign of like, oh, I'm like becoming and like I'm mature, like something like that? Because we never got that. He just all of a sudden was like now in the cape. He was chosen by the cape.
Yeah.
And like now he has this whole new look and it's like, this is who I am now. What do you guys think? Do you think that's like a sign of like,
I think there's something to that. I think there's more of like that's just his look from the comics. He has those gray temples.
okay.
And it is nice looking.
He looks great.
If you told me, hey Nick, that's what you're gonna look like within the next 10 years, I'd be like,
Sign me up
make
for
it
one.
next year. Let's do this. Anyway.
I think that is, like him progressing to, like, I guess the Ancient One, Sorcerer Supreme, I guess. Like him getting wisdom.
Yeah.
I think there's something to that. But also I think it's almost inconsequential because, like, we got to make him look like the comics, I guess.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's where I'm taking
I
it.
do think there is that level, though, of I'm not asking for a lot of the things that I got. They just also happened. And, like, it was kind of in the moment. Because they do make him go from, I'm just barely training, to I have to now fight.
Yeah.
And then the cape gets on and all that stuff. Like, all that stuff happens really fast because they needed a second beat before they could just say, now you can float and do crazy shit. But I felt like it was earned in some way because, like, it is one of those... It's one of those things where, like, he doesn't want it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And so when it happens naturally, sometimes you can kind of get by with, like, bro, you didn't do the reading on the Cloak of Levitation. You didn't do the reading on this. And he's like, I know, but I'm also not seeking it out for selfish gain.
Yeah.
You know, it just chose me in this time of need, and we really needed it. You know, in some ways there is just, like, the times can sometimes create the people that need to be made in that moment, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm like, but I agree. I do feel like it is rushed, but at the same time, this dude doesn't get a sequel until like 6 years later.
Yeah,
so
that's
like they
insane.
had
That's
to.
insane.
Everyone else gets like 2 years. Like there's been 3 Spider-Man movies since there's been a Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man's got to do his entire origin story, like, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange's like, yo, what's up? Like I
I'm
blipped
here.
and now I'm like here, and it's like.
Yeah.
So in some ways, I feel like they just had to rush this, and I wish they wouldn't have. But I
Yeah.
also look at the schedule and go, I
Wow.
get it, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
But doesn't make me give you like a sympathy point and be like, oh, now it's like 10 out of 10 because scheduling, you know, like
Yeah.
So that's where I kind of stand with it. It's
No, I
like I
agree.
understand it, but you know,
Yeah. I mean that just leads it to I think it's solid.
yeah,
I don't think it's like blowing your mind. I think it's just a solid film.
agreed.
And its potential is greater than its
Yeah,
own production. I don't know.
But I feel like that's what, again, makes me disappointed because I think that, like, he's actually really complex, you know, in the sense of, like, even just, like, thinking about, like, the Ancient One and his conversation about, like, what pride is and how if you let go of that, like, you could actually be great and, like, all of these, like, he's like an onion, you know, in a
layers.
sense. There's so many layers to him that I feel like could have been parsed out and would have just been so interesting.
he could have benefited heavily from a Disney Plus show instead of
He
movie.
could have.
I think that is the yearning for something more. I think there is more to that like we want. And then we just didn't get from here because who knows, like corporate or whatever, like just being like, Marvel, you have to do this, so therefore we have to hit these check boxes.
Yeah.
And that does feel like something that I do think is a negative of Marvel is like it does feel like checkboxes sometimes.
Yeah.
Where it's like villain and tragic backstory and here's his buddy and it's like check and done, and that's the movie.
Yeah.
So like this.
But do you think it's interesting that like there wasn't technically a moral compass person, because like that was kind of complex too. In the sense of like the ancient one, like you would think that she's someone that's like has this super good moral compass, but she was drawing power from the dark one.
Right.
It's true.
And then like we hear him make a comment of like, well, sometimes you have to break the rules to XYZ. Then we look at Doctor Strange 2's trailer and Wanda says the same thing. Like that's kind of interesting that there isn't a straight moral compass, and I feel like that's what makes it so complex and cool.
Yes. I think Mordo. Is his name?
Even him.
He's almost like hyper moral.
He's hyper moral compass to the point of he
To a
becomes the
fault.
villain
To a
now.
fault.
He's not even moral to himself. He's now moral for everyone else who isn't moral.
Yeah.
So he has to do it for them.
Yeah. That's interesting. I think I think like the
So
whole
there's not just like a good
Yeah.
character. It's a movie full of flawed people,
Yeah.
almost like real life.
Whoa. Wow.
Whoa, sure.
Oh, too relatable.
Yeah, but that is interesting because typically in storytelling, you're like, who can I latch on to be like, who's guiding us in this? And it's more like, you just kind of got to ride this one out, see what happens.
It's a roller coaster.
You just gotta see who hopefully makes the most right decisions.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
Except Wong.
except for
Wong's our boy.
our boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If he dies in anything, justice for Wong, dude. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. What do you guys like? Do you think they over exposed us too quickly to all the mystical stuff, or do you feel like this was well handled to entering us to basically science, and then there's mythology, but there's never been magic.
Yeah.
There's been Wanda kind of doing some weird red glowy stuff, but it still kind of felt science-y.
Yeah, because she was an experiment and stuff.
So they've never gone full-blown, actually it's magic.
Yeah.
Now, looking back with WandaVision and stuff, we now know that magic's magic. But anyway, what do you guys think of our introduction to magic?
Oh, I wanted more, dude. I wanted so much more.
Same.
Want
but
some
like-
more dough?
I want some more. Oh, okay. But I think this was just like a foundation.
Yeah.
And that's like all this is like, you did it. Now we can do lots of stuff.
Yeah.
So
And I feel like this allowed, in retrospect, these are some spoilers for WandaVision, but this allowed Scarlet Witch to kind of become more, because in some ways we kind of just knew her as the experiment, and then Doctor Strange kind of allows us to now have vocabulary for what's happening, therefore now she can have. So there's some cool stepping stones in that regard, but it does make you realize that even a company that makes as much money and is as successful as Disney is, there's still some of this that they're just totally spitballing.
Oh,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
That just blows my mind that like something like as successful as that still has that many flaws of just like, we don't even know if we're gonna have Spider-Man next movie, so let's just figure this out. Like we just gotta figure something out.
yeah.
It still blows my mind that still like exists. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's just my, but yeah, magic.
Magic.
Let's go.
Magic. Olivia, I think you came to us and you had some analytical questions. Did you have any that you wanted to ask that you haven't asked, or?
Let's see. Well, I feel like, this is just an observation, not an analytical question, but I realized that when he first goes to the library thing,
Yep.
and he's talking to Wong, and Wong's listing out all of the books that he's read so far. One of them was called The Keys of Solomon. So I was like, that's interesting. So then I went and researched it, and it was like King Solomon.
Oh,
Right.
interesting.
That he wrote a book on spells and stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Didn't know that.
and then gave it to his son and was like, you need to keep this and don't let anyone see it. And they like prayed over it and stuff like that, and was like, only one person will be able to see this, whatever. I think it's all like mythical, and it's not actually supposed to be Solomon, but they think it is him.
Huh.
Wow.
So I thought that was interesting, just as like a Christian person, but like I was like, whoa, that's
super cool.
King Solomon wild.
And then secondly, something that I thought was interesting is like when the disciples actually like go ahead and like do the spell or whatever, it's like in a Catholic church too.
Interesting. Yeah,
so, like,
they did use.
I thought that was like really interesting, but yeah, I think so. Then something I was talking about before when you were in the bathroom was just like the use of
Get called out.
the use of like kind of like Asian culture like within this movie, and only really having like Wong and, like,
right.
other people, like just like your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it almost feels like it almost feels like the Marvel Cinematic Universe having to thread the needle of, well, this guy was written like this at a time where he could only be written like this, but we need to not do that. But then let's also make mistakes, and I don't know. Like it just.
I think there's definitely the misrepresentation of certain things, but with the beauty of that, I think again this is just a movie of foundation, and then you have your Shang-Chi. And then you have your random characters of like actually like diversity in there. Yeah. And it's like, hey, there's just this dude who like goes and finds the mystical arts, and maybe the ancient one they turned into Tilda Swinton because it was just a marketing thing.
It just feels bad that Shang-Chi now has to own that. You know, like, hey, like probably some of this should just have been sprinkled throughout all of the other movies too, so that like it's not just Avengers are a bunch of white dudes. Like,
literally.
Just sorry, like that's just what it is. It's
true.
Like I get it. One turns green, but
Yeah.
that's the best they could do. Totally different. That's the best they
We
can
could
do.
make one person turn color.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's just like a thing moving forward. It's like now we can do a little bit better.
Sure.
But
like it was a 2016 movie, like
based off of a 1970 character.
True. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. In retrospect, I think the ancient one is not important enough to me that like it required you to have that person be someone that you advertise. Like, hey, we had to get Tilda Swinton. You don't understand. Like, she is the GOAT.
We were going there anyways.
You could have literally had anyone play that role.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, and then there was even like I remember there was a controversy at the time because the ancient one was almost like a stereotype of an Asian man who had like the beard and everything, and was just like a racial stereotype.
They felt like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah,
kind of a
and
thing.
so I think they went to the point of like, let's just do something else.
How about it's the ancient one isn't a dude, it's a lady.
Yeah.
But maybe they're also a dude. I don't know. Like they kind of leave the ancient one kind of up to like, I don't know. So anyway, I think they tried to be like, here's the best of kind of the, I don't know.
Sure.
Maybe? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have enough wisdom to know like here's what would have pleased everyone.
Sure.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day it's all business, so
it is true.
What's gonna bring the most money?
Yeah,
and that's it.
It is true. But I think it's fair to bring up like you literally have like this epic soundtrack. The sounds of the music in this film is insane. Like there's literally like a theme to Doctor Strange now that when you're watching Spider-Man No Way Home, all of a sudden you hear the what is that? What is that?
Weapon?
Not weapon. The instrument where it has like 1,000 strings.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Frick. Yeah, but they do like this kind of sorcery, like cool music. Now that we know it's the mystic arts, you know, like they do such a good job of that. But at the same time, it is a dude. It's a white dude with a goatee. So, you know, like at the same time, so it's just, it is what it is, unfortunately. But
yeah, I had one more question, and it was just like, how do you guys feel about a superhero having like this like reckless side to him, in the sense of like when you think of a superhero, like he is on the straight and narrow. He makes wise decisions, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like there's a part to Doctor Strange where, like, he's kind of reckless and he's like, let's just wing it.
Yeah.
You know, and you kind of saw that in Spider-Man, the latest Spider-Man, too.
Yeah.
Like, how he's like, I'll help you, even though I know
Yeah,
you're
sure,
an
why
immature
not?
kid and
Yeah.
whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
That's a good question.
I think I like that. I mean, our heroes have to have flaws too, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I enjoy. I think I can speak for Nick as well. As like our least favorite superhero is probably Superman,
100%.
because he's just too perfect.
Yeah.
And because he is just the embodiment of. There's nothing wrong with him. They had to give him a rock to make him vulnerable to something.
And even then,
Yeah.
he's not.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's some iterations of Superman where
It's
it's
like
like,
not-
hey, he got shot with kryptonite and he still kills everyone.
Yeah.
It's like, damn it.
Yeah.
Like,
So
come on.
so I like the flawed. In this instance of Doctor Strange and with his character, I didn't love his iteration of being flawed, I guess, because he just kind of felt like a jerk.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, that's true.
I prefer more of the like like the Captain America, I guess, if we stay in the MCU, of like he's trying to just do the best he can and like I believe in this truth, justice, the American way, and then he finds out like that's not happening.
Yeah.
And so like that kind of moral dilemma is something that I like more than just like, hey, I'm a doctor and I can freehand this surgery and take out this bullet and I'm the best, dude. And I can name every single music that's ever been made. And I'm just like, cool.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Unfortunately, like if we could literally use the time stone and go back in time and just start off with Doctor Strange instead of Iron Man, they basically have the exact same arc.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he hinders from, this feels a little too samey.
Right, but I
for
feel
just,
like Iron Man's a better starting place because it's so grounded.
Sure,
Okay,
I'm just
yeah.
saying, like, his arc just feels a little like, did we need an origin story? I feel like I've seen this one
Mm-hmm.
before. It's just he's doing surgery instead of fixing a car.
Yeah.
Like, or
Yeah.
whatever, you know what I mean? Like, he
Yeah.
still just was like, I'm going to be reckless. I built this suit of iron, and now I'm just going to fly wherever. And then almost dies. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, that's Doctor Strange. I mean, literally to a T, they're
Yeah.
the exact
Yeah.
same character.
Yeah.
So, if we didn't have that previous knowledge, I think we'd be like, this is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think because the entire foundation of the MCU was built on the exact same story, it just doesn't feel too unique.
Sure.
So they had to really lean on what makes it different
The
than
magic,
science.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. I think that my question was just more of like, do you feel like knowing that the superheroes are flawed, it adds to like the high stakes of the movie of like, I don't actually know what's going to happen at the end, you know?
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed a hero that's flawed because I think when you're dealing with a guy who can reverse time and cast spells with his hands, if I can't relate to any of that, it still might be an okay movie, but when I know that like I could be that if the circumstances were different, it helps me. So like growing up with Spider-Man always was like helpful for me because the guy would literally be battling like his best friend's dad, but then also couldn't be late for his chemistry test. And I know that's not necessarily flaws, but like he's still human in regards to like I can't just be a superhero. My identity is not just that. And so like that always was really interesting to me. Whereas if you have a character, and I'm not like saying that I'm not trying to stereotype like Batman, for instance, because I think we can
Okay, first off.
we can relate to like hardship like Batman can. But like let's say if you don't have $40 billion in your bank account,
Yeah.
can I still
Can't relate.
can I still do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not and there's I think you can still relate to Batman, but like sometimes when that happens, you're like, oh, this is just so otherworldly.
Yeah.
How can I relate?
Yeah, I think there's a point to the relatability of a character, but also the like fantasy of being that character and being like, man, if I had like magic powers, that's super cool to like live through this and be like, oh man, you can do whatever you want and you can like make this portal and you can like make this spell. And it's like the like the fantasy of that I think can be enticing. And the fact and like the enjoying like something that I couldn't do.
Yeah.
So I think there's different strains of like Doctor Strange. of like, yeah, that's really cool because I like magic and I couldn't do that, and wow, what other things could I think of up? But then there's like the hardcore, like, man, if I'm late for my chemistry test, but I also got to save the city.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's why it's cool to have different stories.
Yeah.
And different people will be like, I love the Doctor Strange, or I love Spider-Man, and I didn't like Doctor Strange, or vice versa. And so, like, that's why it's cool to have, like, all these different characters in Marvel to kind of different people to bounce off of.
And also, so then it kind of, like, begs the question, like, so what character do you relate to the most, and, like, what do you think that says about you?
Ooh, wow.
Dang.
Whew. What a question. What a question. Dang. Honestly, like, who I relate to the most isn't probably who my favorite character is.
I would agree.
Oh, that's good.
That's definitely what I would agree
That's
with.
a good answer.
I think I relate heavily to Tony Stark. He's not my favorite. I think Cap is probably my favorite.
Wow.
Spider-Man's pretty up there. But Tony Stark for me is that guy of, and he displays this perfectly in Endgame when he's trying to protect his family and being like, hey, I know something horrible happened 5 years ago. It sucks, but I got a daughter, blah, blah, blah. But he invents time travel in Avengers Endgame, and then all of a sudden goes, now I can't, like, sleep because I now know I can fix everything, and this burden's too much. What do I do? And he talks to Pepper about it, you know, and is like, I could just throw it in a lockbox, throw it in our pond, and we can just live our life happily. Or I could do what could help everyone. And obviously it sounds silly when I explain it to you like that's like, clearly you'd save millions of lives. Right? But the truth is, like, would you though? Like, would any of us right now, like, if we could do that, like, give up possibly, like, the future of what, and, but I feel that burden of also needing to fix everything that I possibly could, that it would, like,
and the knowledge of being able to fix something would, like,
and if you have that, it just tears you apart because you're like, I can't not do something. And that part just related so heavily to me where, Captain America does it, but you almost feel like obligated. It's like, well, of course Cap wants to save the world, but does Tony? And that's what he literally makes the difference. If he didn't want to, they couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Because he had the right tool set that was needed for that specific scenario to fix it, and he did, you know. But that, like, I feel that. Like, I lose sleep when, could I be helping this person more than I am? Probably. So now I need to do that, you know. I can't just let it go and forgive myself for not, you know, doing that. So anyway, anyone can take it after that.
Man, I'll just, like, I have no idea. But, like,
I relate to Thor because
he's
I would get really fat later if I wanted to.
I don't know. I guess the ones that I think if I would be like my favorite MCU hero is Captain America, because it's just like he is like, I guess, this pillar of justice. But I think relatability, like, I definitely lean towards more of what I said of, like, the people that I couldn't even be. Like, I can't be Batman. So it's like, it's dope when Batman just does whatever he can and, like, does all these gadgets and stuff. And, like, I am interested in being, like, reading some more Doctor Strange stuff, because it's like, there's no way I could do any of this. But it's cool. Like, what could you do with this? So I guess, I don't know. I guess in that case, do I heavy favor, like, spectacle over, like, relatability? I don't know. That's something I could dig into. But I think there is a what could you do with this character that I enjoy about more than, like, I am this character. Like, I don't need to be the character. I want to do what that character would do in that moment, not what I would do in that moment.
Interesting. We'll have to dig into your psychology later.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll have to unpack.
How do you feel about that?
Lay me on a couch and just.
What about you, Olivia?
I think that Tony Stark, like, I think that, like, favorite, and I just think that I relate to him just because, like, I'm a 2 on the Enneagram.
Oh yeah, you're
and,
both
like,
2s. That's right. Okay.
And, like, people always trauma dump on me. Like, I just feel like I'm always in that position of, like, I feel like I want to, like, fix and save other people, which is kind of unhealthy in a way, but, like,
true.
probably the reason I want to be a lawyer. I'm finding out a lot of things about myself. But
There you go.
Very good.
no, I just think that not only is he that way, but there's also this side of just like sarcasm and like comedic relief, and I like that he doesn't take himself too seriously. And I think that's kind of cool, as well as just like being really I just think he's an all-round type of guy. And I see myself in that type of way. I don't know if that's narcissistic, but like I just like that about him. But I also just admire like how he's a leader too, I think. And I think that that's something I like pick up on other people, and I like admire that about them, because I don't really see myself as a leader, but like I admire people that like do have that role.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool.
The other thing that really sticks out to me with him, that, as like you said, a 2 on the Enneagram, is if we know we can't fix something, it's incredibly hard to even want to try.
Yeah.
Sure.
And there's that scene in Avengers Endgame where Cap's like, do you know anything? Coordinates. You fought him. And he goes, who told you that? Because I got my ass kicked and I didn't do anything. So I'll tell you what, leave me out of it. Like we can't fix this. I'm done. And he literally like collapses because he just can't. Like he can't fix what happened, and it almost kills him.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, I get it. Like same.
Yeah.
Like if I knew like I could have changed half the people in the world getting decimated and I didn't,
Broken. Yeah.
how
seriously.
do you even move on in
Yeah.
5 years, let alone your entire
Yeah.
life?
Yeah.
And anyway, but like I think I can relate in that regard of just like if I can't fix it and I'm not healthy, I'll shut down because I'm not good enough, and so the only way to do that is to self protect by just taking myself out of the situation.
Right. You find your little pond,
and that's what he
by the
does for
lake.
5 years, and then he goes, I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
I literally am Iron Man, and he doesn't have the self-awareness of like, I started the MCU, but I didn't show up. But like if he did, he would be like, all right, and then he does, and that's what he does. He realizes that he can fix it, but it might cost him his comfort, and it might cost him his life. So
Yeah. And that's why I love Marvel movies, because you leave feeling a sense of like, wow.
Yeah, Martin Scorsese, shout out to you, my guy.
Oh my God.
This is all for you, my guy. This isn't cinema. Love it.
Not cinnamon.
Game
Not
over.
cinnamon toast.
Game over.
Love it.
Little late to the game, but sorry, I had to.
Yeah, we got
Had
a
to make my shout
a
outs.
roast of Martin
Scorsese.
Scorsese real quick.
I mean, seriously, dude, look at the depth that we just discovered, and that's in a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yep.
So much to it.
Anyway.
Man. Well, if there's no more thoughts about Doctor Strange Uno,
Yes.
what about if we talk about Doctor Strange The Dose,
The Dose.
Oh,
The sequel.
Yes.
that was a very cool trailer. And
Yeah. Did you watch it?
I did watch it.
He doesn't watch trailers, but
Yeah.
I sometimes
Why?
make him watch it.
I want to go as pure as possible into any movie I watch. I want to know absolutely.
interesting.
I want to know nothing about a movie watching it.
Which also explains why he needs to watch movies multiple times, because he has no exposure, so he's literally so fresh. He's like a candle that needs to be dipped in wax over and over again. You can't.
I need to be prepped a little
He
bit.
just needs like, okay, now another dip, another dip, another dip.
Wait. So this is a movie you telling me? So there's actors and
Yes,
stuff.
there are. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
there are.
And there's this
That takes me a
guy
second.
named Benedict Cumberbatch playing Doctor Strange,
Oh.
similar to the podcast that we just recorded. You know what it is.
See, it takes me a second. I want to know absolutely nothing about a movie, because then I feel like honestly a lot of this comes from Marvel. A lot of this comes from like I want to know everything about like this theory, and then when that theory doesn't come true, then I'm disappointed.
Okay. Here's what I will say
Okay.
though. Marvel does a really good job of just throwing you a trailer and going, "What do you think?"
They used to. No. Now they do.
Okay. What do you mean? Oh, before they would just tell you the whole plot?
Yeah,
That's because there wasn't that much to the plot of the movies.
I think all the centers around Age of Ultron, which I know is a soft spot for our boy Nikki K.
Yeah, it is, because it's freaking dope.
I just
It's a
think
great
like
movie.
there was so much expectation for that movie, and I was ultimately disappointed because I watched like 60 hours of trailer. Like,
And you still didn't know anything about the movie.
No, because I watched the trailer. Because I watched.
But the trailer didn't show. I mean, it couldn't clearly explain anything.
Oh,
that
there was
happened in that
enough
movie.
going
No,
on.
there's like 18 plots in that movie.
No, there was. No, yeah.
I digress.
I just think I want to know as little so I don't go with expectations, and those expectations are not met.
Okay,
So
here's my pushback.
Are we gonna dive into my psyche a little bit?
What if you watch a trailer and stop making expectations?
I can't. I don't think I can do that.
I like
though.
that point.
No,
Yeah, okay.
I think it's just like, well, also, then if I see a scene in a trailer, I'm like, I remember that, and I'm waiting for that scene to happen, or I'm waiting for this person to do this thing, and like that ruined me, I think, on a lot of Marvel movies, because I'm like, when's the scene where he's gonna run across the building and this is gonna happen?
I get what you're saying. There's some stuff where they need to tease, like, who was that, and not, oh, I saw the new suit. When does he get the new suit? But there's also some of that that's just like, hey, he's going to get a new suit. Isn't that exciting? Like, it's not their fault. They're not trying to be like, hey,
but if I'm going to see a movie anyways, I don't care. I don't want to see anything about it. Because then...
Okay. Hey. Whoa. I'm not trying to convert you, but dude, I get so hyped when I watch trailers.
Me
It's
too.
insane.
I think
To be said, I did watch the trailer for this movie.
I think for me it's preparation of like, let's go. Like I'm excited. Like I get to watch this movie.
It does kind of allow you to at least like, because back when you could do the midnight premiere, and you were like with your people, you know, dude, back when like. I can't remember what the last year they did that. It was pretty much like Avengers or maybe Age of Ultron tops.
Yeah,
like,
I remember Age of Ultron was a midnight for
or something like that. But it's just like, you know, you're with like people who are just like, we are here to experience it, you know? Oh, dude. Watching a trailer is similar because now it gives you a talking point with your people again to be like, hey, did you check it out? Yeah, it's going to be dope.
Yeah.
But I also can understand that sometimes I think now they at least have put false footage in trailers to really throw you off.
Well, yeah,
they have
Marvel
actually taken certain scenes that like, hey, these aren't even in the movie.
Yeah, so especially with Endgame and Infinity War, there were scenes where like certain characters were wearing different outfits. Certain characters were not even in a shot.
The Hulk was in Infinity War at the end, but the Hulk isn't actually in Infinity War except for the beginning 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So they've done a lot of that. So I think Marvel understands that and does a good job of that.
But before,
but before, and then like, I don't know. I just don't want to know anything.
Sure.
Because then I just can watch a movie and know nothing. I don't know. I just like not knowing anything about it and then watching into it. Yeah.
I think that's cool. For me, it's like a pregame. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I like
to the movie.
I like it too, and it just doesn't make for good podcasting. Anyway.
Let's call a spade a spade.
What did you think about the trailer? I didn't watch it. Okay. Anyways, this is good.
Anyways, what I thought. But from what Nick has told me, I know.
Yes.
And I did see the trailer.
I know you did. Yeah.
This is the
because
first.
you've been forced to if you go see a movie prior to May 6th.
Well, yeah. At this point, I had not seen the trailer until 2 days ago.
Oh. Why?
Because it wasn't playing before any other movie that we saw.
Oh, and then you went and saw a movie?
No, because I finished Doctor Strange. I'm like, yeah, time to watch the trailer.
You literally did it on your own. That's amazing. I love it. Okay.
But also, you talked about it enough with me where I'm like, I know what happened in this trailer.
It's insane.
Yeah, so pop off, Nick. Go for it.
Okay. All right. We are left with... Okay, so... Okay, listen, everybody just... Okay, here we go. Ready? Okay, here we go. Anyway.
Okay, dude, that was 30 seconds of you saying okay. That was just...
I did it on purpose.
Anyways, okay.
I'm reversing time. I have Agamotto. Here we go. This trailer is the perfect amount of teasing footage. I'm gonna let these guys. I'll solo this for a while. I'm gonna bear the burden of this entire podcast for the next 30 seconds while these guys recover.
Hold on.
This is what you want in a teaser trailer. It's literally blurred footage of anything that's important. Mm-hmm. It's a bunch of shots that just go, "What the hell was that?" And you still have no idea what's going on.
No, I definitely agree. I feel like if there was a trailer for me to watch, this is the trailer. Because I'm like, I know Doctor Strange is in this movie.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
That's it.
And we don't even know, because, like, No Way Home made sense that if he messed up enough stuff with his spell, maybe Multiverse of Madness makes sense. But it was fixed.
Right.
And now
Yeah,
there's still stuff that's happening.
Right.
So that leaves us with a huge question mark of, did you not fix it? Or did you do another thing that messed it up?
Right.
Or did another you mess it up?
Right.
From another, like, there's just, now that the multiverse is out there,
Right.
now we just get to do whatever. And so,
Wait, also, like, at the end of Doctor Strange, like, we see that snippet of, like, Mordo. Like,
Mordo's going around murking guys
Like,
now.
Totally forgot about
I don't
that.
know. I don't know if I, like, missed something in, like, previous, like, MCU films, but was Mordo shown at all?
No, that's
No,
yeah.
that
So
literally
do you
the
think
setup-
we're waiting for that? In
Correct.
Doctor-
He's
Yes.
now going around enacting his form of moral justice on
Yeah.
anyone who uses magic
The
wrongly,
magic,
and
okay.
maybe
Yeah.
waiting for Doctor Strange
That was
later.
something I totally forgot about. Being Mordo, even like coming up in the second movie, it was like,
Yeah,
Oh,
everything
yeah.
he believed was a lie
mm-hmm.
with the Ancient One, because she never told him that she drew upon the dark power.
Yeah.
And so he goes around, starts it. So he's definitely in this. I don't know if he's an ally, if he's an enemy. In the comics, he's an enemy. And so that's why it threw everyone off in this movie, because he was his, like, mentor, friend or whatever, yeah. He's in it, and that's the least interesting thing about the trailer. At one point, Doctor Strange is being escorted by what looks like Ultron drones to this, like,
Yeah.
court of people.
Yeah.
And definitely Patrick Stewart saying something. And
Nick-
you're like, it's got to be Patrick Stewart, right?
I need you to tell me who else you think is in that council.
Oh, I will. I'll get on it. But, like, some people are like, oh, it could be. And then if you go back and watch the trailer, it's clearly Patrick Stewart saying we should tell them the truth or whatever. And he's literally, it's Professor Xavier from the other X-Men movies.
Mm-hmm.
Non-Marvel movies. But, like, now that Fox is bought, now we can just have Professor X
God.
from the
I
X-Men in
didn't
this
know
movie.
that.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. So that hints to what they call the Illuminati, which is like all of the smart multiversal versions of these characters, like the best Professor X, the best Iron Man, the best Black Panther was on it at one point.
Yep.
I don't know who they're going to do. So there is speculation that we're going to maybe get a multiversal Tony Stark, perhaps not cast by RDJ because he's done.
Yeah.
So they're going to need to find somebody else to fill in those shoes, which good luck to whoever it is.
Get ready.
I have my predictions.
Get ready.
Oh.
I think the only man fit for the job
All right.
is Tom Cruise.
Okay.
Olivia's like, please no.
This has been a
Hear
fan
me
theory
out,
for a
hear
long
me out.
time.
I don't think anyone is dumb enough to take over the role, but is popular enough to pull it off
For like 5 minutes.
than Tom Cruise.
I feel like that's fair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who else could, I mean,
Because I'm thinking
they
on
have to
both
have-
sides. Yeah.
you're not just going to cast a new person,
No.
like a guy that's
They
just,
have to be
I'm
kind of
now
well
an
known.
actor,
Yeah.
so I get to be Tony Stark. No way.
No. Yeah.
But it can't just be like, I don't know, like who,
I don't know.
like it can't just be, I'm trying to think of like somebody who's like mid-tier, but like,
John Bernthal. I don't know why that came to my mind, but there it is.
sure, well, and he also can't be because he's the
I know,
Punisher, but
I
like,
can't think of anything
yeah,
else.
because everyone else is in the MCU.
Timmy Shao.
Maybe, no, Timmy Shao. He's going to be, he'll be
Yeah,
in it
he
eventually.
should be in
he's going to
it.
be, but we'll see.
He says he's not doing a Marvel movie.
Whatever.
Um,
Yeah, I wouldn't do a Marvel movie until they gave me $50 million. And then I'll be like, hey, guess what? Marvel's actually kind of cool. He'll make a Marvel movie. Mark my words.
Okay.
The only other people that I could think of that have enough clout are people that I don't think would ever do it, which is like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, I feel like he'd be good.
You know what I mean? Like, he would kill it,
He
but
would kill it.
would he actually do it? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think.
It's off-brand.
It's so off-brand. Maybe Matthew McConaughey.
That's what I was thinking.
Alright,
He was
maybe
actually
Matthew
casted for Doctor Strange.
Oh
I
my
found
God.
in my
Yeah.
trivia.
What a movie that would have been.
That would have been wild. Are you kidding?
I'm going to say still a 6 out of 10.
Are you kidding me? That's a 10 out of 10, dude. Are you kidding me? Matthew
I
McConaughey's
love
like,
him.
The movie's
And
like 10
then
times
the-
better, but Matthew McConaughey's playing Doctor Strange.
and then the Eye of Agamotto, I was just like, I opened it up. And,
Hey.
hey, all right.
Freedom.
All right,
Hey.
all right.
I think too, because like there was a big hype around the casting of like in the 90s. There was like casting for what the Avengers would have looked like or something.
Yeah, and Tom Cruise
And
was
Tom
the
Cruise
front
was
runner
Tony
as
Stark.
a Tony Stark.
Yeah, so
Wait,
like,
really?
so the fans were like, "Yeah, let's do it." And if there's any time
And
to
we
do
live
it,
in
it's
the
now.
we live in the meme world where like the audience does kind of get to dictate some of these things.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
if the Twitter crowd of 300 people can make
Yeah.
enough noise
To make Zack
Sometimes
Snyder's The
Marvel's like,
Flash
you know
win
what?
best cinematic moment of all time, then
you know,
Tom Cruise can
it sounds
be
like
Iron
a really
Man.
loud
Yeah.
voice, even though it's 50 people from their mom's basement going, "Hey, come on, gotta have Tom Cruise do it." I think Tom Cruise is gonna. I think he's gonna be in this movie, and I think he's gonna play Tony Stark.
And I've made this bet with Nick offline, or off podcast, and we usually bet bottles of wine for what we think. So I'm betting Nick a bottle of wine that Tom Cruise is on this movie, and I expect to not win that bet.
Oh, dude, if I'm right.
Interesting.
Anyway, so I'm just shooting my shot because I literally can't think of anyone else that fits the role good. Like, he would be just cocky enough to say, "Yeah, I'll do Tony Stark for you," right after the best person who's ever done Tony Stark to do it, and no one should ever touch this role ever. This is the only person I can think of who's insane enough to do it.
Wait, you think they'll continue the Iron Man?
No, I think he'll be in it for a half an hour,
Max.
and then they'll be done.
Okay.
And he's going to be a shitty version of Tony Stark. He's going to be like
Yeah.
the Tony Stark who never humbled himself. So he's going to be the really powerful, smart, lonely Tony Stark.
Yeah. I
In
can
his
see that.
multiverse, he did achieve like
All
the
of
utopia
things.
of, I literally have a suit of armor around the
Sure.
world. It's perfectly safe. And I'm super lonely
Yeah.
because I never grew out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got to see the humbled one who lost. And that actually made him the best version of
Best.
Tony Stark.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this will be if we would have seen that branch out and he just gets his way the entire time and never humbles himself. He never got married. He never did any of the thing.
Yeah.
And he's probably just insanely powerful, but
Yeah.
super not like relatable.
Okay.
Sorry.
So there's 6 people on that council, right?
And we only see like a couple silhouettes.
Yeah.
But for sure, Patrick Stewart,
Patrick Stewart,
Professor Xavier is there.
Tom Cruise.
Thinking Tom Cruise.
You-
We're probably going to get a Reed Richards.
It's gonna be John Krasinski. That's my bet. That's my
John
wine
Krasinski,
bottle.
what do you think? Jim Halpert
I
as
have no idea.
Johnny K.
Johnny K.
She agrees with me.
You know who Jim Halpert is?
No.
Yeah, from
The
The
Office.
Oh wait, yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, got it.
Sorry, Marvel and then Office.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
because like
been
Reed
a big
Richards
fan
is
theory.
a Illuminati member.
Yeah, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, Stretchy
Yes.
Boy.
Stretchy Boy
Okay,
McGee.
Yep.
He's usually known for his mind and then also just passively has stretching powers. So
Yeah,
he's usually up there for one of the smarter guys. I don't know who else you could have. You could also introduce that maybe like one of them is Victor Von Doom and he just says like trick the whole and it's Doctor Doom, but he's not bad yet. Or maybe in this you know what I mean?
that'd be dope. That'd be great.
You could do this to recast Black Panther. You could say like
That's
Michael B.
pretty hard.
Jordan was
Oh,
Black
that'd be
Panther in
great.
an alternate universe.
Oh, that'd be so good.
And then he just gets to come back and be
Why
like,
do I
hey,
feel like they're actually gonna do that?
it'd be cool.
I mean, that would be the most sense.
I think it shows respect, but it also is like, hey, this is about the only other guy I could think who could do
Yeah.
this.
Well, because he was great. Like,
And there's already like a touch point to be like, oh, in this universe, he does get to become Black Panther.
Yes.
Or one of the women are.
Or, well, I think Shuri's going to for sure be it in the movie.
Yeah.
I think in this universe, though, you could have like, what if Killmonger won
Yeah.
and actually
Yeah,
won?
no,
and
I
he's
think
still
that's
Killmonger, but he's like Black Panther.
Do you think there's going to be a completely new cast of this Illuminati, or is it going to be like a Scarlet Witch is in there?
That's hard because they are using some same. If Patrick Stewart for sure is showing up, is this
Just all
the
new.
one Professor X that we still know, or is it just? And there's clearly multiple Doctor Stranges in this movie that are all played by Benedict Cumberbatch. So some of your variants can be played by
The same
yourself, but then sometimes they're not. So that's tricky.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to handle that because clearly we've seen in Spider-Man No Way Home,
Yeah.
you can have multiple Spider-Men and not be played by Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. And then, so it just, this multiverse thing's tricky.
Yeah, it opens up a box of you can do whatever you want, but also you can do whatever you want. So then people are going to be like, well, why didn't you do this?
Yeah,
Why didn't you
that's
do this?
very true.
Yeah.
This is why I said, you got Endgame. Now you're along
done.
for the ride. Yeah. If you want to stay on, great. But if you're just going to piss and moan the whole way, it's time to get off, dude. Because they are not going to please you. There's no way they can satisfy what they want. They're just going to have fun. So they're going to do some stuff that doesn't make sense. And if people want to, do it, that's fine. Whatever.
Do you think that this is just going to be like a until the wheels fall off type of series then?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think they have an end in sight because they'll still make so much money.
Yeah.
That it will lead to its downfall.
Yeah.
Or they'll reboot it and be like, never mind, Avengers 1 again with a new cast.
Yeah. At some point, you're going to do just restart the universe, I guess, is where I think it's heading in maybe 5-10 years, I guess. I don't know.
That would ruin it.
I don't know.
And then that's when it falls apart, I think.
That's where it's, and the multiverse is cool. It's a cool concept, but it is where everything gets murky and they go, okay, well now some people are worried, does this negate everything Thanos ever did? Was Thanos even that cool if you could just reverse time and do all this other shit? And there's other multiverses now.
No, seriously.
So that's why I'm just like, bookend. After Avengers Endgame, you got to stop caring, or you're going to be disappointed from this point. Because I don't think they can do anything but fail at this point.
Yeah.
They've succeeded.
You
they
peaked.
did it.
Yeah.
So now, if you're just in it for nostalgia and just memeable parts where Michael takes 3 fingers and puts them on his arm and goes shoot the whole time, you're in for a real treat, I think, with the MCU. But if you're not looking for that, I think this will be the movie that it's time to get off at.
Wow.
Interesting.
I think so.
A statement from
That's
Nikki K.
jarring.
Because Disney Plus has clearly shown us they're just going to do some crazy stuff. Loki did some stuff.
Yeah.
Moon Knight's clearly just going to do some standalone things. I don't know what,
they're just going to do what they want to do.
They're just throwing darts at a board now.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't think there's a plan where we're going to care for any of those characters as much as we did for the other ones. I don't think we're going to get a Cap with Mjolnir anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a worthy moment.
Yeah.
It's just now who do we get on the roster to just do some cool visual effects?
Mm-hmm. And I feel like they're being smart by I know that movies take a long time to make, but the spanning it out as long as they do to keep around the fan base.
And
So,
television helps with that too, because you can literally just have episodes where technically nothing happens, but it's still something happens.
You're still I understand this character is here.
And
so,
hey, I hope I'm
recognition.
wrong. I hope we get an Avengers Endgame 2 that's insane. And I'm just like, that was better than the first one.
Yeah.
I hope. But I'm not expecting it.
Yeah.
And so now I just get to enjoy everything.
Yeah.
Seriously.
But anyway, so I think Tony Stark, show him back up.
Okay.
I think it's Tommy Cruise.
That's the big one.
I'm excited.
That'd
I'm
be
excited.
sick.
And they're going to make him stand on boxes so he looks as tall as everyone.
Jeez.
It's going to be great. What else did we see in the
Or
trailer?
maybe they don't do a reveal. It's just him in the Iron Man suit. And
It could
nothing
be.
comes out.
My theory is there's a character that looks kind of Captain Marvel-y in the trailer, covered in energy. But if you kind of slow it down, they definitely have a goatee, so it's definitely not Captain Marvel, and it could be
Tony Stark.
there is a suit of armor that Tony Stark has called the Superior Armor, where it kind of just it goes around his face,
Okay.
and it's the nanotech, but his hair and his face are always out,
Right?
Because he's super cocky. And he's like, you're not gonna get me anyway.
Yeah.
But because all of that energy around him, the prediction is maybe this Tony Stark is so good. He maybe even has assembled something of an Infinity Gauntlet suit.
In his suit.
Perhaps he has stones on him
That's dope.
that give him more powers.
That's dope.
That'd be sick.
Wow.
Shooting my shot.
Yeah.
Shooting my
You're
shot.
shooting so many shots right now, Nick.
What if I'm right though, dude?
That'd be kind of cool.
What if I'm right? Anyway, I'm very excited for Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
There was a very cool line where she goes, "You screw up the entire world, change time, and then you change it back, you're the hero. I make one city kind of sad, and I'm the villain."
Right.
And it's like, oh shit, that's really good.
That's
because
honestly what happened.
Doctor Strange sounds like a hero and Scarlet Witch sounds like a villain, and you
Yep.
both did the exact same things.
That's a great point. Yeah, it's a great point.
And it's like, we need to take a step back and just reflect on what we've done, because if we keep pushing her the way we've been pushing her as like, you need to be worried about what you could do, but we're not worried about what Doctor Strange could do.
Yeah.
This is like, it's feeding into like what is already assumed that like, well, it's the dude, so like, is he going to do any bad? And this is the lady, she's kind of emotional, so we need to be careful. And it's like, I just thought that was a really great line to be like, you're the same, so start acting like it.
Yeah.
And like, let's do this.
Yeah.
And if she keeps getting pushed, she is going to eventually just be like, if you're going to keep calling me the villain, I'm
Might
just
as
going
well
to be
be
the
one.
villain.
Yeah.
And so you want her on the bad side against Doctor Strange? Oh my God, dude. I don't even know what that's going to look like. That's going to be insane.
I think that could be where it's going, though, at some point.
I know.
If not this movie, a future point.
I'd love for her not to be, but she could do some really cool stuff as a villain.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we haven't really experienced what if one of the heroes did just decide to be bad.
Yeah.
That could be cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are my thoughts. Anybody else got thoughts?
No. all my only thought is John Krasinski, and that's all I have.
John Krasinski.
Because I'm trying not to as Mr. Fantastic, and then if Emily Blunt is in there too, great. But that's really all I got, because I'm like not trying to theorize too much.
Yeah. What got you excited, Olivia?
About the trailer?
Yeah.
I think that line, actually, because I feel like it's interesting. I was making that parallel with like almost like Mordo when he was saying like or no the ancient one when she was saying that like sometimes you have to break rules in order to be great, and then it's like
he breaks
Scarlet,
the rules and he's a hero.
And,
she breaks the rules and she's the villain.
And so it's like the inflection in her voice, you can't really tell if she's saying like let's work together or like
Let's
I'm
fight.
done.
Oh, dude, that's fair. Yeah,
That's
it's just
so
like
good.
Like you can't tell by the way she said
like,
it.
that
So
doesn't
it's
seem very
like
fair.
this could be the movie that like you know.
you could get and that could lead into, she has a really crazy comic book arc, House of M, where she literally goes no mutants exist, like all the X-Men, because she's normally in the X-Men universe or whatever, but she has like, I erased mutants, none of them exist. Or she could do the opposite and be like, I'm just gonna make a bunch of me.
Mutants. Yeah.
And we know that Mordo is around and he's probably whispering in her ear too.
Dude,
that is true. I didn't think about that.
It just looks funky too, because there's like different versions of different people in this movie.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
wild.
I do think they missed the opportunity of calling it the Multiverse of Strangeness, but that's okay. Madness is
That's
fine.
too much. That's too much.
No, it's perfect.
That's too much.
It's Sam
The
Raimi.
double M's, the Multiverse of Madness, Multiverse of Strange, Mad.
And it is House of M, so I guess M for Madness could be good too.
Oh, that's kind of
Look at this guy.
Shoot my shot. Shoot my shot. Hey,
that's kind of good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh man.
I think we're in for a treat. Like
Yeah,
I don't care
either way.
like how average or good this first movie was. It clearly did enough for us to be like, I am ready to explore it again.
Yes, exactly. No doubt.
And this one looks crazy. The other thing I will say, have you seen Loki, the TV show?
No, I have not.
You should check it out.
Okay.
Definitely.
There is an end scene. I won't spoil it too much, but they kind of tie it into timelines, multiverse type stuff.
Okay.
And there is some similarities in this trailer to some of that last episode of Loki. So I am curious if this will tee up into the TV shows, because the TV shows have said they're connected, but we haven't seen the movie connection quite yet.
Right.
And I'm excited for like Disney Plus and like the movies to all just be the same thing. And it's like, oh, I did my homework. I watched the TV show and now I get to go to the movie theater and it's the same people. And oh my gosh, this is awesome. So I'm excited for it to all intertwine finally. Mm-hmm. With the pandemic and movies getting pushed, it just kind of feels a little wonky at the moment. But once they're intertwined and it's like, go see a movie every 3 months, but we're going to have a TV show that takes up 2 of those months in between.
Yeah, because Doctor Strange is supposed to come out like before Loki or right around when Loki was happening originally, so everything got pushed back. And so I think like now that our schedules are going to be like lining up to when things were supposed to be happening, they're playing well. Yeah,
I'm just excited for like, we'll eventually get to a point where there's going to be a movie every 3 months, but there's a TV show that's 8 weeks in between, so there's like only like weeks at a time that have no Marvel content. It's gonna be insane. Yeah, we used to have to like watch a movie and then wait a year, and now we get to like, it's just
constant.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah,
I know, seriously.
Love it so much.
Oh man. Well, Olivia, thank you for joining us.
Of course, this was so much fun.
You killed it. Best guest. You should take over for me.
Yeah.
I could never
You
do
should also
that.
take over me, so it's just a solo Olivia podcast.
No, I'll have to come back.
This is not
another
Olivia.
time.
Hey,
Not Olivia United.
not.
Not Olivia United.
That's right.
You heard it here first.
Well, yes, we just appreciate you coming on and telling us your thoughts on Doctor Strange and what you think Doctor Strange 2 will hold.
Yeah.
So-
Well, thank you both for letting me come on the podcast.
Anytime.
This
Our
is
pleasure.
like 10 out of 10 podcast.
Thanks.
Oh,
Make it
Gonna
a
recommend
Olivia
it.
out
Let's
of
review
10.
this episode. Let's go. 10 out of 10.
Share it. Show your friends.
Yep,
It's a good time.
That's
for
right.
sure. Okay. Oh, you want me to take it?
Go
I'd
for
love
it,
to.
dude.
Love to. Okay. Well, I'm sure you've definitely, within the last 6 years, have heard a review on Doctor Strange, but now you've heard from us. Not us, United.
Let's go.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
You've just listened to Not Us United. You can find us under Not Us United on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Please leave us a review and consider subscribing to our podcast. You can reach out for future podcast topic suggestions at notusunitedpod@gmail.com.